Right, we're a bit on a wonky angle. There we go. Let's see who's here on this beautiful sunny morning. I'm surrounded by boxes and boxes because we're going to make embellishments, and I'm going through it. We've all got that bit box, haven't we? Boxes and boxes of loads of bits and pieces we keep just in case. Well, hopefully we're going to use some of those today because we're going to look at making your own embellishments. So I will just wait for a few of you to come in. Let's just see. Oh, someone's in. It's all right. The iPad is always so much slower than... so give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, because at the moment I can't see anything because it takes so long. Let's delete that one. No, cancel that for now. Right. I've got a few of you in, but I can't see who I've got in. Oh, we've got Kathleen's in. Hi, Kathleen. I know this is going to be a slow one. I've had a few of you mention to me that you're going to catch up later because you've got other appointments. I'm trying to look at the other thing. Right, let's put the live chat video is welcome. Yep. So I know I do these craft with me, but I thought we'd look at some embellishments today. And in some ways, it's a bit hard for me to say, right, you need this, you need that, you need all sorts of things. Hi, Tracy. Because, as I said in my video, you've all got these big boxes. Let me just bring my... These are just a couple of mine. We've all got these boxes in our craft room that are full of all bits and pieces that we keep just in case. You never know, we might need it, or they're bits of embellishments we've had in kits, but we can't bring ourselves to throw them away. I'm a terrible hoarder. I can't bring myself to do any of that at all. So that's what the sort of thing I'm going to look at today. So it's looking at making some embellishments out of what we've got in our stash, making those bits and pieces work, and hopefully giving you a few ideas, because sometimes when we're putting together, say, you know, like I did that the other day, a memory book, we're making a book, and yes, you've got embellishments in your kit sometimes, but sometimes you haven't. Sometimes you've just got a paper collection with no embellishments or cut aparts or things you can use. So I wanted to have a look at how we could use those. I'm still trying to bring up the live on my iPad so I can see you, but it's not coming up for some reason. I'm on my YouTube. No, it's not playing ball, which is going to be a bit awkward because then I can't see what you're all saying when I put my camera up. So I'm just going to see if it's going to catch up, because sometimes these things, I find YouTube takes a bit longer than Facebook to catch up. But anyway, I hope you're all keeping well. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Jules. No, it's not Jules. Oh, I'm getting confused now. I've got so many ladies that go by other handles on their social media, so I find that a bit harder to do. So, so thank you all for tuning in, those that can. I know a lot of you are going to be looking at later on, or a lot of them are going to be viewing later on because they've got other commitments. I'm still trying to get the right time. I am thinking of going afternoon, but then I'm conscious of if I do afternoon, it sort of goes in with school time and that for people that have got pick kids up from school and things like that. So there never seems to be an easy time. Aha, I think we're in. Let me turn my volume off. Ah, right, now I can see the comments. So yes, I can see some of you there, and I've got some comments coming up, which is great. So that is fabulous. So I can put, so I've got Betty, we've got Jules, we've got Carol, we've got Tracy, we've got Kathleen. There must be a few more of you there because there's more people watching than commenting. But that is fine. That is absolutely fine. So I haven't decided what we're going to do next week yet. So I haven't decided what we're going to do next week. But if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you know I always put a supply list up before. Apologies for it being so late this week. Just so much going on with work, a little bit crazy. So apologies for that, but I will get my act together. So I will let you know a few days before what we're going to be working on and what supplies you need to gather, like we've been doing with the mini books. And actually, it'd be nice to know from you guys, what would you like me to do in the craft alongs? Would you prefer like scrapbook layouts? Would you prefer mini albums? Would you prefer knowing how to decorate some pages? Would you prefer techniques, things like this, making embellishments, looking at different ways you can stamp on pages, different techniques you could do there? So yes, I'd love your feedback as well as to what you would like, because this is why I'm here for you. So yes, we're going to look at embellishments, and I did say to you, grab yourself some paper clips. I'm sure you've all got paper clips at home. The ones I've got here, I've got some large and normal. So these are in gold, but it doesn't matter if they're in gold, they're in silver, they're coloured. Doesn't matter. This is all about having a go, and then you can get what you want to match. Now I've got the gold ones here. And really, with some of the charms and things that I've got that are in the silver, I could do with some silver ones. So, but when I went to the shops, I could not get silver ones, not nice large ones. But I'm going to keep my eyes open, because if anything, this is the sort of thing you could keep in your crafty stash. So I think without further ado, we'll bring the camera down and we'll start having a play. Now, I will apologise, because with this live, there's going to be lots of rustling through bags. I have got bags and bags of stuff, boxes of stuff. I haven't planned the embellishments we're going to make. There's a couple of ideas I've got in my head, but the rest is we're just going to have a rootle through, see what I've got, see what we can make with what I've got is the other thing as well. So let me flip the camera without giving you too much of a headache, and pop this in the stand. So you can see I've got everything ready. So we can pop, in fact, I'm going to keep it fairly low so you can actually see what I'm doing. One thing I couldn't find before I went live was my jewellery pliers, but it doesn't matter. I can cope. We can cope. It will be fine. Because this is what happens. We're busy crafting, and then we can never find what you need. Now, one thing I would say you'd need is your hot glue gun. Doesn't matter what hot glue gun it is, grab a hot glue gun. In fact, that was something I was meant to get out, was some more glue sticks. And I'll have to have a rootle and find those as well. Oh, no, that's not a glue stick. Oh, I found one. That'll do. Just on standby in case I need it. So today I'm going to be working with, I've just got what I call normal size paper clips. Okay, and also I've got some larger paper clips. So just, I mean, I could only pick up gold coloured ones. I would like to get some silver ones as well, because then they can match whatever project I'm going to be using to work along. So let me just pop those to one side. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, the larger ones I've got here are 2 inches in length. So they're 2 inches. And then these smaller ones are just over 1 inch. Okay, so depending on where you are in the world, I'm sure you've got paper clips of some description, even if they're coloured, not a problem. I was having a play yesterday just with some paper and making a very simple one there. And if I bring in, let's bring in just a piece of card here. So once you've made it, you can very easily pop that on the top of your project. So actually that would work really nice if you were doing hidden journal tag and you didn't have a tag punch. You could make one of those to have the pulley out for your journal tag. Very easy. We'll have a look at one of those later. This was another little one I did. In fact, if I do it on the black, you might see better. This is the back of it. Now this came, you know when you buy clothes and they put spare buttons and beads and things on, and half the time we never use them. This is what this was. So it had a spare button and some little beads, and all I've done is thread it. Turn that over. Behave, behave. All I've done is make a little embellishment out of that. Very simply, that's out of something you get free in with your clothes. So again, that can just be popped on there as a little embellishment in your book or whatever you want to put it. So these would work on your albums, your folios, your scrapbook layouts, cards as well, another place you can use them. This was another one I've been playing about with. Again, this time I've used one of the larger paper clips. I'll show you how I did this one. And we've all got that big bag of ribbons and bits and bobs we keep. I bet you've all got them in your craft stash. If not, they're in a box. They're somewhere in your craft room because I keep loads. So I've just put a little bit of, it's like a cord ribbon, a little bit of jute, another little bit of ribbon that came off wrapping when I got a gift, and then I added a little charm of a little tortoise on a couple of jump rings. Now that's one thing I would say. Obviously this should have been in silver, not in gold. So to add charms to your projects work really well. Okay, and we've all got little bags of charms. So one thing I would recommend that you do is pick yourself up. Let me pop that down. Pick yourself up, but they're called jump rings. They're jewelry findings. These are little jump rings. I'll put a couple out there. Can you see? And they come apart very easily. You can do it with a pair of tweezers. So if I pick that up with a pair of tweezers, you can just do it with a pair of tweezers or a pair of pliers, but you can pull those apart, pop your charms on, and then close them up afterwards. So I would recommend, if you haven't already and you've got metal charms, grab yourself some of those because they are really worthwhile. So I think without further ado, we'll have a little play and see what we can come up with. Now, you may have heard me talk in the video. I found these in my box of bits and bobs that I've kept. And I've had them years and years and years. So I thought, again, these are meant to go on cards and layouts, but you could quite easily make embellishments out of these. These are resin, okay, little resin frames, okay. So again, these could be used for little embellishments. So let me pop that bit to one side. I'm thinking I've got a paper collection here with lots of bits and bobs in that I had left. So what I was going to do is see if I've got something here that I could use. So I told you this is all going to be as is today. You see, I could go around that. Love yourself. I like that one. We're going to go with that. So I'm just going to cut this out. This is off a collection that I'd used when putting a project together. And actually, this was a project I was thinking we could do for one of our craft with me's. If you haven't tried scrapbooking, it's a great way to, let me put my hot glue gun on. It's a great way to get into scrapbooking without buying an album. It's similar to a folio, but not quite. So yes, great way to sort of bring it in. So that was another thing I was thinking of doing. Let's move that up so you can see. So I've got my little piece of cut apart, and I'm going to stick just over the top of there. So I'm just going to use some EVA to stick that on first. Okay. But another good place to look for things is in charity shops, in junk shops, around the pound shops as well. I'm sure you've got more than enough at home in your craft stash, but you never know what other bits you'll find when you're out and about, because it is surprising what you do find. So I'll just let that stick for a minute. I'm sure that's fine now, because the EVA takes off quite quickly. I'm just going to snip around the edge. There we go, that's slid down a little bit, showing a little bit of white there, but you'll get the idea of what I mean. This could have had somebody's photograph in it. If I was doing it for a book or for a layout, it could have actually had someone's photograph in it. But I would then attach that just on one of my large paper clips. Straight away, you've got an embellishment. So I'll just wait for my hot glue gun to get going. Now, another thing you might have seen me talk about in the video was die cuts. Okay, these were some I found in the box, as you saw when I was getting everything out. But you could quite easily turn your die cuts into embellishments to go on your projects. So again, let me bring in a little bit of EVA. And I'm also going to share with you as well, not just by using I'm going to share with you a minute. Let me just put this on here. My mind's going 10 to the dozen now. And I'm hoping this is what you'll find when you start playing at home. Because all of a sudden you think, all right, embellishments, boring, Dawn, I can go and buy them. Yes, we can. But it's surprising what you can actually make from what you've actually got in your craft stash. And when I do my scrapbook layouts now with my ladies in class here in Edwinstowe, I now don't supply embellishments with their kits. We just have paper and card and we make what we need. And it's quite refreshing to see what you actually can make. So let me see if my glue gun is warm enough. So I'm just going to put a blob of glue gun on the back of that. Now, if this was going in a book, what I would recommend, and I will share with you, so I'm going to pop that on the back there. Just get that nice and set in. And of course, being a hot glue gun, it soon takes. I'm going to put a little bit more over the top of there. Now, if you want to make this look a little bit more professional, what you can do, I've just dropped my glue gun. That's not a good idea at all. What you can do is like I did on this one. So I did my little rosette, stuck it onto my circle, but then I put another circle on the back. And that's what I would do with this. I would put another little square on the back. So just let that set for a minute and we'll glue this one. The larger size paper clips I find do work a bit better because you've got a bit more long part to them to actually add to your projects. Okay, so they work really well. Now, another thing is if you do craft stalls or make to sell on charity craft stalls for your own, to top up your own craft stash, or, for charities, for schools, for church, things like that, you could make lots of little embellishments like this as little paper clips that people can use for their, you know, putting things together at home, everyday things. That one needs a bit more glue on. I was a bit premature with taking that off there. But can you see how you can quite easily, you could add them on a little card and you could sell them ahead of time. Let me glue this one again. I was a bit too premature with that. Let me see if I can get this big lump of glue off without damaging it. Yeah. Let's try again. I know your glue gun gets very stringy and it is so frustrating. I've heard of lots of different people saying if you popped it in the fridge, apparently it's not meant to work because you start off with it cold, but I have tried that and I must admit that didn't work for me. So I don't know whether I was being too impatient with it. Just going to let that one set. So that's another one. Now another thing I have in here are some little jingle bells. These are other things I found in the craft stash. And I don't want to say the C word just yet, but it's coming. You know, it's on the craft channels already. But little jingle bells. Now, these are handy to add even to your card fronts. So what I would do is I guess just get a couple out. And this is where I'm going to use I could use my jump rings. I could use a bit of twine is another thing I could do. But we'll do jump rings. Or we could just put them on the paper clips. Let's see. So to thread things on paper clips, if you just bring it apart. Oh, I might get away with not doing that. Oh, yes. In fact, I'm going to put one on there because that's a small paper clip. Oh, yes, look. Perfect. Let me add that to the card just so you can see. So you've got your little jingle bell on there, and that's just on one of those small paper clips, and that is enough on there. You wouldn't necessarily need to add any more on there, so that would be perfect. So little jingle bells, let's pop that one down there. I'm doing a little collection so we can have a look at the end. I think that one's dry now, so that can go down there. So we've got jingle bells. Now another thing I did find was some little pony beads. You're probably thinking, what are pony beads, Dawn? So these are pony beads. Now I bought these years ago because I did a matchbook mini, but I did a pony beads hinge, okay, to divide it up. So these are what are called pony beads. So they're, how can I describe it? They're flatter. So they're not totally round. They're a little bit flatter. They're like they've been squashed. And I think these would be just perfect, just threaded on. So let's see if we can thread a few of these on. So, wonder if it might be easier that way. Might be easier that way. That's the nice thing about paper clips. You can just maneuver them with your hands. So let's put a few multicolours on here. But again, this is something I've had in my stash, not used for ages. And they're just sitting there. And I'm thinking perhaps we should do a pony bead mini album. Show you how to use them on the cover. That's one we haven't done yet. So just by adding those on there, now they need to slide round to this end of your paper clip. So let's push them all the way around because you'll see how your paper clip will come to its natural closing. Let's see if we can get these ones up here. That's it. Close that paper clip. Might have put too many on. Close that paper clip down. Let's bring in the card. And there you go. You can have your little pony beads on. So another way of adding your embellishments. So that's your little pony beads. Now, a really quick and easy one you can do is, I've just got loads of ribbons here. So let's just pick a selection. So there's a yellow one. I keep all my embellishments, like ribbons, you know, like these odd bits of ribbons and that you've got. So I don't need quite as long as that. So we'll just cut a little piece of that off. Brads, anything that's blue or lighter blue, that goes in that bag. I've got fibres. Oh, we could use a bit of fibres as well, look. You see, all this sort of thing. So if you're someone that knits or crochets and you keep all the ends of your twines. This was when my mum used to do a lot of knitting. You know, she's been gone now several years, but it's surprising they're still going. And in fact, let's have a few of these this colour. I've got all different types going on here. So yes, so if you know someone that knits or crochets and you actually don't, you know, ask them, can I have any odd bits you've got left? Because it's a great way of doing this. So I've got some ribbons, I've got some fibres. So let's do that one next. What other colours have I got in here? Right, let's have a look in another pouch. I think that might be too dark. That's a bit too dark. Let me just lean over. I told you it's going to be a day of rootling. A day of rootling through my bits and bobs. So, oh look, we've got a piece of green going on there. Let's have that one as well. Oh, there's a piece of pink. I'm just chopping bits off. You'd be more careful doing this, but I'm hoping this is going to give you the ideas that you could use and how you could use them. Got some other colours going on here by the look of it. What have we got in this one? Let's see, we've got that one going on. Let's chop a bit of that one off. So I think that will do for now to give me to give you the idea, I should say. So let's do this. Shall I do this on a smaller one or shall I do it on a bigger one? Then you can see. Let me do it on a bigger one because it's better for you to see. So this is where you can either just knot them or you can thread them through, you know, two ways. So let me just knot these ones. So just doing little knots. Okay. And this is a good way if you've got a project and you just need to add a little bit of something. This is a great way, even if you had all your ribbon the same colour and did 3 knots of ribbon the same colour, okay, it would work really well just to add a little bit of texture to your layouts as well. This is the thing. Just a little bit of something extra. So I'm just knotting. I'm not doing anything, nothing technical. But I think these are things we forget about. I forget about them. I forget to add them to my projects. So I think perhaps we should revive, what should we call them? Junk embellishments? You see, those 3 colours there look just lovely. So if I bring that black card in again, you could pop that on. And that could be on your project. That could be matching your project. No problem at all. That would really work. So that's another one. You can do exactly the same with the fibres. And with the fibres, you're going to get a different look. So if you have got a friend that knits or crochets, please, please do ask them, can I have some of your threads? I'm going to put a few more of these out on the table. I've got some that are joined together, which is typical. So the other way you can do these is you put them through and then you wind it back on itself. So let me see if I can try and share with you how to do this one. So you're going to pop her through a loop, and then you're going to put the two tails through the loop. Okay, you just have to make sure it's pulled tight. Can I move it up even higher? Sorry, Jules. I'll tell you what, let me try and move my... I'm getting carried away here, you see. Is that a bit better if I come here? Sorry. So, yes, I agree, Jules. I've got stacks of just bits and bobs that are just, yeah, need to be used. I've been clearing up my craft room, and the other thing I did before I came live, I've got a huge box on the landing of all bits like this, and I've just looked inside it and I thought, it's terrible. I shouldn't be keeping these like this. I should be using them. So I think I'm going to have to set myself a challenge for the rest of this year to try and add embellishments. Now, when I said about doing embellishments, when I actually thought about it, it's so vast how it could be done. And that's why I thought for today, I wanted to keep it down to paperclip embellishments. And then another week, we could perhaps look at embellishments, a different type of embellishments like tags. Because is that something else you keep? You know, when you buy a new piece of clothing and it's got a nice tag, do you keep that? I do. Because I think, oh, I can use that. And do I? No, I've got a bag of them. So I think we need to sort of start looking at how we can use different embellishments on things, in our crafting on things. So let me just move those out of the way a moment. So there we go. There's a nice fibre one. So let's pop that onto there. So that would give lovely texture, wouldn't it? Perfect. And also, this is very light if you're posting. And also, it would go flat in your posting, but you've got all that lovely texture going on as well. So that is another way that we can use those. Now, what was the other thing I was going to do? I was going to show you this one, wasn't I? Let me share with you this one. So I've taken one of my longer paper clips. I think they're easier for you to see that size actually rather than little ones. Again, bag of bits. A right load of bits in here. So I had some of this. I don't know what you call it. I've got some jute. So let's take that out. We'll just cut a strip of that off. This came off some clothing. I can't remember what. There we go. I'll take that off. But I've got all sorts in here, even down to old tape measures. Really old tape measures. You go around your charity and your junk shops, surprising what you pick up. Perfect. So, yes, I think, oh, I'm going to use those, and I don't. I've even got in here, look, ribbon that is like tape measures, adhesive ribbon. Don't know where it came from. I've got all sorts in there. So let's have a look at how I made this one, because I've got my hot glue gun on, which is dripping a little bit. So to start with, I took some of this. In fact, I'm going to take a little bit of that off because that looks a bit straggly. And I took some of those off there. So this is just some jute. Okay. I don't know where it came from. I think it was on a roll and I had some left and I thought, I'm going to keep that. I might need it. I did need it. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put this one behind it because I think that will give it a little bit of texture going on behind there. I don't know whether you can hear the birds. I've got my craft room window open and all I can hear is the birds singing. I don't know whether my phone is picking that up. So I'm going to join that one on top of that one for now. Now, just be careful when you're doing anything like this with fibres like this, because obviously you're using a hot glue gun and you know what's likely to happen. You're likely to burn yourself, and we do not want that going on. So I've got a couple of layers going on there. I'm going to then put that one onto there. So I'll put another bit of blob of glue on there. Okay. If there's anything you think while I'm doing this that you could use or want me to use, have a go. What's Jules saying there? I have ribbon or something that looks like a zip. Well, there you go. And she's had it since the 90s, so there you go. Jules says yes, she can hear the birds. Oh, we have a lot of magpies in our garden. We've got a big oak tree in the back garden, and yes, we have a lot of magpies and wood pigeons. But I think that might be a little thrush singing out there at the moment. So let's have a look at now adding one of our little charms to this. I'll tell you what, let's take the little fish out of there, and I'm going to use a couple of jump rings now for this. I am going to share with you towards the end. I know it's not paper clips, but something you can do with your baked bean rings and your soft drink can rings. Another great way to use embellishments, something I've been doing for years, and it was only because I was putting a baked bean tin in the bin yesterday that I thought, I'll keep that, because it's terrible. We've got to keep it, haven't we? Just in case. I'm just trying to open this jump ring. There we go. In fact, if I hold that with my tweezers, that one can go onto there. So I'm going to close that down. In fact, actually, I could have just shredded that one onto there. That would have made life a bit easier, wouldn't it? Then I've only got to open one and not two. There we go. So that's an extra ring on there. So I've got my charm on there and an extra ring. Okay. Just trying to get that a bit right. I've been better with my nice round-nosed jewellery pliers. I'm going to, I think, put a third jump ring on just so it hangs a little bit more this time. So let's just get one more out. Let's put one more out, because I just think that will make that stand out a bit more. You could, if you haven't got jump rings, you could do the same thing here with just some embroidery thread as well. That's another good thing that you can use. So I've got my little fish and I've got my piece of ribbon. Paperclip, Dawn, paperclip. So I'm going to pull this just apart and I'm going to thread that through the bigger piece. So I'm going to thread it through. I'm just trying to show you. See, I pulled it apart there and I'm going to thread it through this big piece here. And I'm going to fold it back because that's how I'm going to glue it onto my paper clip. It's a little bit fiddly. There we go. So it's going to go on there like that. Okay. So I'm going to lay it over the back. I've probably wrapped around a little bit more than I needed to. And that will do. So let's pop a bit of glue on there. Careful not to burn myself. There we go. Onto there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten that back down as if you'd put it on your project. And then I'm going to thread my little fish over the top. The hot glue is still hot, I can feel it. So just let that cool down a minute. So let's bring this in. And I'm going to try and get this over, she says. I should have left this apart, I think. That might be better. I can see what I'm doing. Oh, now my jump rings come off. There we go. Right, I've got that round where I've actually attached this. So I'm just going to pull it round so I can close that shut. Just use my hands. See if I can close that shut with my hands. Hang on a minute. I've lost the ends again. There we go. That's on. So my little charm's on there. That's on there. And I'm going to close my paper clip, bend it back so it's now shut. That's on there. So I've got my little fish hanging on there very nicely. I could tidy this up at the bottom and cut this at a bit of an angle as well. So you've got all those beautiful layers going on. And then if I thread that through, that's how that would look on your card. Obviously, you'll give it time to flatten the jute, but you've got just lots of nice texture going on there that you could add to anything. This would look really good on a man's card. You know, sometimes with men it's always hard, but all you've got to do is say a stenciled or an embossed background, add something like this and a sentiment. You've got a man's card very, very easily. Okay, so that's another one done. So let's pop that one with that one. Now I was going to look at flowers while I've got my glue gun all together. So this is something else. I bet you've all got loads of these at home. I've got bags of these. These are rather large ones, okay, that aren't always easy to use on what we're going to be doing today, okay. But in another bag, because again, something I've had for years, not used. Oh, Diana's joining from the US. Hello, Diana, welcome. What time are you out there? I'm still trying to work out timings, but the great thing about YouTube is you can come back and watch anytime. These, again, this was something I bought when I first started doing my crafting. I got these off QVC. They came in tubes, and they're little paper flowers, but they're all different colours. So, again, just sitting in a zipper. In a zipper, not being used. So let's release them. Let's use some of these. So I'll tell you what, let's keep that one out. I'm going to put these away. So let's empty this little pouch out. Again, it's all been sat in that drawer, that bit box, that box of bits and pieces. See, look at all these. And I have got loads of these. This is just tipping the iceberg, literally. So if you haven't got little flowers, you could die cut yourself some flowers. Again, that would work really well. So let's pop that one on there. And then I'm thinking that would be nice on there. Oh, so I think that's going to be too big now. Put that other one on. No, I'm going to have that one. But we've all got these. And if you haven't, just use your die cut flowers. And if you've got if you didn't want to do them in paper, this is like a mulberry paper, you know, like a handmade paper. You could die cut them out of that. And what I would do is, if you're die cutting them out of that, on your die cutting machine, just put your metal plate down first. You'll get a cleaner cut with your dies. So I don't think I need that one on there. So I need something to go in the middle of here. And I'm just thinking I've got some gems that I got out ready for a different project that I was using. So let me take one of these, because these are quite large. And that would work really well on there. I could have used a little button with some twine through. In fact, that's a little bit small. That's not big enough. No, gone off that idea. That's not big enough. Let me have a look and see what I've got that I can pop on there, because that's not big enough. Let me have a little delve in my stash. No, not in there. I've got a few ideas I still want to share with you as well. Oh, right, there's some more button type things. I think that's a bit too blue, but I could use the other side. Is that a bit too big? Oh, actually, these might work well. That's a bit smaller. We'll have those. That's a bit smaller. And I've just seen some other bits I could use for something. Oh, you see, I really please do hope you have just to play with this. When you've got time in your craft room, now I'd like to stick a little bit of twine just through that. Let me see if I can do this very quickly, just because I think it'll finish it off if it's got a knot to it. This is gonna... It's not going to work to make for me today, is it? This might just be a little bit too fine. That one's not going to work, but I've got one up here that might. There again. Look, see, something I've had for years. I don't sew. I'm not a knitter. I do sew, but I'm not a knitter. But this fine ball of cord like this is brilliant for adding to any of your projects. I've used it for years and it's still going. So I'm just going to do a knot on this one. We'll just have a knot going on this one, just to finish that button off. It just needed something. So that's my big ball of... I don't know what it's for. I think it might even be crocheting. I could be wrong, because I don't knit or do anything like that. So I couldn't tell you. So that onto there. Now that looks better. That looks better. And then if we turn that over, I'll pop a bit of glue, make sure I've got my heart the right way. Go with that single end. Is the heart round the right way? Yes. So there you go. There's another one. Just using those fabric flowers that I've had kicking around in my craft stash for absolutely ages. Okay, perfect to use. So let me move that out of there. Now, when I went in that box just now, this was the box I think I shared with you when I was thinking about what I could do with my live. Now, here's the thing. Something else I bought ages ago. Got loads of them. So let's just we'll take one of those out of there. Oh, I found some more flowers there. It's surprising what you find in these boxes of bits and pieces. Oh, and I found those as well. Buttons. Right, let's just start off with this bit. This could go on and on, literally, with what you've got at home. So I tell you what, let's take that. These are just plastic little tiles. Again, as you can see, I had masses of them. Sat there in my craft stash. And I've had a bit of pink ribbon somewhere, she says. Oh, I've got a bit of white here. That'll do. Let me see if I can thread this through. So just poke that through. In fact, let me use my tweezers rather than the end of the scissors, in case I... So I just do a little knot on there, or it could be a bow. I wonder if I could get a bow on there. Oh, let me see if I can do a bow. Oop. Let's poke you through there, so I can pull you tight. Now, don't forget to go over to my Facebook group, which is Our Makes with Dawn's Inspirations, because I've set that Facebook page up so you can share any of the makes you've done with me. So whether it's on a craft with me, whether it's on you've done one of my online workshops, whether you've attended one of my classes, it's just a great place for you to share your makes with other people. So there's my little tile. But again, that can quite easily be added to a little paper clip as a paper clip embellishment. There we go, stick that down. And there you go, you've got another little embellishment that you can add to one of your projects. Very easily done. Now, something else I did see in there. See, I've got my buttons. These are little buttons that I've had. I don't know where I picked those up from. But we can thread these on. So let me just pull that back. Let's just thread that up, go around the other way, close my paper clip shut, and you've got your little car on the end there that can be added quite happily to your embellishment. So that can go on the edge of your project. So again, these fancy little buttons, if you pick them up anywhere, use them. What else did I see in that box that I thought, oh yes, we could use that? Oh, I know what it was. Now, here's the thing. How about you get to a stage? I'm going to do 2 more and then I will stop because I can be going on for ages. You know, you get to a stage with letters. You've taken out the letters you want to use on a project and you've got some that are left. Yeah? How could we use those? So let's have a quick look how we could use those. Now, have I got myself a piece of paper? Sorry for all the ruffling around. Oh, I've got some nice, because that's a sort of, it's like an aqua colour, isn't it? So let's have a look. I've got some blues over here, left from the project we did the other week. I've got a thin enough piece. I think that would show up quite nicely on there, wouldn't it? So let me trim a piece of this down. I'm going to go, let's go 3/4 of an inch. And I'll take a little bit off there. I'm going to make it roughly about 8 inches long. Okay, so I've just got a strip of paper. I hope you can see what I'm doing. You want to see my craft desk. It looks a right mess now. I've got a hole punch, and I'm just going to punch a couple of these out. So I'm going to share with you how I did that rickrack one. Let's move this. I'm hoping I'm inspiring you to get all your bits and pieces out and have a go at some of these, because it's quite satisfying. So I'm going to just pop this in my scoreboard, and I'm going to score sort of every other one. I'm on the centimetres, so it's roughly every centimetre, but don't be too hung up about it. Okay, so I've done one, miss one, do one, miss one, do one, miss one. Don't think I'm doing very well here, but you'll get the idea of where I'm going. And I wanted to share with you as well how, again, if this is the sort of thing I get my ladies to do, by having just paper in their projects sometimes, they have to think outside the box a bit with adding embellishments to their projects. But you don't have to go and buy expensive embellishments. Over the years, I've acquired more than I need, as you can see. So I should stop buying them, because I don't need them. I've got enough here to be going on with. Perhaps I need to have a system of categorising them out in some way. Definitely need to. So I'm going to score that one, miss one, score one, miss one, score one. Don't talk and do something at the same time, Dawn, because it doesn't always work. So I do this, and then I want to share with you just a couple of other ideas that you can do. And then I will have to stop, because I could go on for days just doing embellishments with paper clips. It's crackers, isn't it? You're going to do your concertina. So you're doing like a fan. I'm sure lots of you have already done these, but I just wanted to share with you so you had an idea of what would fit on your paper clips, as this one was all about the paper clips. Now, who could think of another way that we could do theme embellishments? Because I think it has to be themed, otherwise I'll just go totally off-piste. This card's a little bit thicker than the one that I used the other day, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So just flattening that out. There we go. That one's got to come up there. That one's going to go down there. So I'm going to join these together. I'm going to chop that piece off there because that's too long. And in fact, I'm going to use a piece of tape to join this for quickness. I've just got a piece of 6mm tape just here to join this together. Ooh. So that is going to go over there. So you've got a total round circle. Hang on, have I gone off out of shot again? So you've got your round circle, and then you're going to press this all down together to make your little rosette. Okay, so I've cut myself 2 circles. So one, I'm going to just cover in glue. Now you could go with a smaller circle than this. I've just gone with the hole punch that I had, but which I think was 1 inch. So I'm going to pop it over the top, and then I'm just going to flatten it all down into the middle. Sorry, I'm off shot. Into the middle, just while that hot glue gun just takes off. There we go. So that will take off. And then to make it all look nice at the back, this one, like I did with this one. Okay. Take one of these, do a large one again. I think this size works really well with these projects, actually. And I would probably recommend this to you if you were going out to buy some specially. At a 2-inch size is a good size. So I'm going to glue that just on there. And then to make it all look nice at the back, this is where your second disc comes in handy. It's just if you're putting it in an album, or if you wanted to sell them, as I said, on your little craft stalls as embellishments for home or anything like that, you could. Now what you could do is, we had those letters that I've had hanging around for ages, the letters that I don't use very often. What you're going to do with them, you know, how about, let's not use that, how about sticking that on there as the center of your embellishment? So rather than putting another disc on, we can actually put this on. Now I'm going to try and do it very carefully without burning myself. So I'm going to hold this with the tweezers, and I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue. Now, if I had more time, my EVA glue would be perfect on this, because this will stick plastic as well. So that can just go on the middle there. And actually, I think looking like that with those colourways would work really well for a male embellishment, wouldn't it? It doesn't have to be a female embellishment at all. It would work really well as a male one. So that is that one. Have I got time to do another one? Right. How about this type of thing? You know, these that we have sometimes left over from collections, little chipwood embellishments. Straight away, you could cut some of these out and stick these on your paper clips. If I just take one out just here. Again, these are what I've got left from a project, and thinking, oh yes, I might need to use those. Well, I can, because just by snipping those elements off, that could go straight away on a little paper clip as an extra embellishment. I could paint that up to any colour I wanted. You could even put words on as well. So I've got words here. You could even cut your words out and stick those onto your paper clips. So there's several ways that you could use those as well. And then I'm not going to hold you up too much more, but the other thing is I've got a load of these. These are just really tiny dies. Keep them in my stash because you never know when you need them. Like little hearts. I've got smaller hearts. I could die cut out and make embellishments to go onto my projects. I've got all sorts of things in here. Let's have a look what else we've got. We've got tiny little birds. Again, they could be die cut out, glued onto your little paper clips and used as embellishments. If we go down, we've got flowers there. We've done flowers. Let's see what else I've got here at the back, just while I'm on here. You see there again, look. Tiny little, I can get him out. There we go. A tiny little snowman. Die cut him out. Pop him on one of those bigger paper clips. Again, you've got a nice little embellishment you can use. So all these tiny little dies that I've got just here. I've got here a little, what do you call them? Candy cane. Again, die cut out, popped on your paper clip, can quite easily be used as embellishments. So don't forget to think about dies you've got. So I've got loads back here, just odd little dies that you can use. Little ladybird, another little bird there, little moustache. You know, you could die cut those out and use them on your embellishments on your paper clips. So I hope what I'm sharing with you has inspired you a bit to look at what you've got in your box of bits and bobs that we hoard. Now, I did mention to you about tin rings and also pop can rings. Now, you can very easily use these. So if I just get a piece of ribbon, and I have done this for years, and I love this way of doing things because it just shows what you can do with a few bits of embellishments. I'm trying to find a piece of cord. Let's just take, I'll just take some green for now. Hopefully you'll see that. So if you've got a piece of ribbon, you can thread it. Which way would I go? Let's go that way. When you pull it off the back, make sure you go with a pair of pliers and just take the sharp bit off. So that would come off there, go through there. And then on a man's card, this works really well as like a buckle. So that's another way you can use your little pop can. So let me leave that one there. And actually I could snip the end off here. So, and I do exactly the same with the little pop cans. So thread it through one. So whenever you've got your pop cans or your little tin cans, your baked bean cans with your pulleys on, you see, adding those onto your project works really well as a little buckle. Okay, so that's hopefully another way for you to think about how you're using some of the things that we just use in every day, really. So let me just recap by bringing some of these in. There's lots. We've done quite a few this morning. So we've had just a little car button. We did the flower. We did the little rosette with the letter, but then I've also done a rosette prior to that with a button. And just by having that on the back, that finishes that off nicely. One of those tiles that's been stuck in my craft stash for absolutely ages. Perfect. The little pony beads. Just those little beads that I've had. Yes, those jingle bells. Get those jingle bells out ready. Little buttons and things that you have on your clothing in case you lose them. We keep them. Do we ever use them? No. A little resin frame, just with a little die cut behind it. Your fibres. So if you know anybody that does knitting, grab their fibres or just use ribbons. And then you can use your die cuts. I've used the snowflake there, but I've also shared with you lots of other little dies I've got in my stash that you can very easily lose. But then you can really go to town by adding them and building up some bigger embellishments and adding your charms and things to there. So I think we've had quite a busy hour. We've done quite a lot. If you missed some of the beginning and want to come in, please watch again. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. But I think that's a very productive hour I've had there, and it's going to make me go through my box. The trouble is I'm going to have to stop myself this afternoon because I want to be making more to put away. But it's a great way of using what you've got. Let me just flip the camera around so I can say goodbye to you. So I want to thank you all for tuning in today and watching me make all these fabulous embellishments. If there's anything you would like to see me do on Craft with Me on a Wednesday, please do private message me through Facebook or leave a comment below here. If you've got any ideas, I'd love to see what your thoughts are, because it's nice to see what other people want to do. There'll be another craft with me next week. I'm not sure what we're doing yet, but keep an eye out. If you subscribe to YouTube channel, no problem at all, because you'll get an alert, because I will do a supplies list of what you need a couple of days before, so you can gather your supplies and craft along with me. I'm Dawn from Dawn's Inspirations. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week on another craft along with me. Bye-bye.